what you need to know, and thank you, NFL, for giving us news. On the brink of the unofficial start of summer, there's news, because next week, owners are getting together again virtually to vote on some rule proposals. I didn't think they were ever going to get to it, but they finally have. And lo and behold, with replay review for pass interference dead and gone, the competition committee, even though it's not officially recommending the Sky Judge concept, the competition committee is supporting further analysis of an officiating advisor. There's a couple of proposals from both the Ravens and the Chargers that would create something that would assist the officials on the field, whether it's a booth umpire who would be the eighth game official. That's the Sky Judge concept I've been pushing for a long time. Or a senior technology advisor to the referee to assist the officiating crew. Now, that person presumably would have less juice than an extra member of the officiating crew. Either way, they need to put somebody in a position to watch what we watch on TV, to bridge the gap between what we see and react to and what the 7 people who are trying not to get trampled by the gladiators and trying to discern in real time with the naked eye what the hell is going on around them. Someone needs to bridge that gap between them and us, and that would be someone watching what we watch and telling the referee, oh, you need to throw a flag there, or pick that flag up, or there were 13 guys on the field, or whatever the case may be. Someone who knows the rules, someone who has been on the field, understands what it's like down there, and someone who can then step into that booth and see everything via TV angles and contribute to the officiating. I think it's genius. I thought it was going to get lost in the shuffle this year with all the other stuff that's going on, but it looks like there's momentum for it, and we'll see next week whether it goes anywhere, Big Cat.
I don't even think it's genius, Mike, because it's so obvious. This is such an obviously good idea that the NFL should have implemented years ago. And it shouldn't have taken the, Rams Saints mishap in the NFC Championship game. This is something with the progression of technology they should have figured out a long, long time ago. The NHL has something like this where they can call to a control center and decide goal or no goal. The MLB has something similar where they're able to get on, the headset and hear. It is so stupid that the NFL hasn't done this. So I'm not even going to give them the credit for being genius here. I'm going to say what took you so long, and this should have been the fix. And I'll give you credit, Mike Florio, because you, as bad as you were last year when you were talking about we need to have pass interference review, you did say the Sky Judge is the fix. You said Sky Judge is the fix, and I agreed with you, and it's finally looking like they're going to get there. So I'm not going to give them credit because this should have happened a long, long time ago.
In the interests of clarity, and it's quite possible that the new jacket fumes are getting to you already, my position always was Sky Judge. I never wanted replay review for pass interference. I mean, ultimately, anything was better than nothing, although we found out that, no, nothing is still worse than the anything they came up with. But the Sky Judge is what I wanted, and I give them credit, Big Cat, because in any organization, there is a natural tendency to be very insular and to not give credence to anyone on the outside. And I'm not the only one who's banging this drum. When you have outside forces saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, the human reaction is to say, hey, we're fine here. We know what we're doing. You worry about, just like with Sean Payton to the butcher, you worry about your own frickin' meat. I'll worry about what I need to do. And I give the NFL credit for not just walling off the very good suggestion from many to have Sky Judge, but finding a way to embrace it if they do. One of the practical impediments, Big Cat, is this. Because they're not meeting in person and they're doing this video conference, and somebody who is close to the action told me this last week, it's going to be hard to come to a consensus on anything. Because there's a certain quality, there's a certain value, there's a certain indefinable magic to having everyone in the same room. Basically, you get everyone together and you slam the door and you lock it and you say, we're not leaving here until we come up with something. Not as easy to do when everyone is sitting at their house or at their office or on their yacht with a computer and they can check out mentally. Even if they're still sitting there, they can check out mentally anytime they want. Just wait for the damn thing to end. So it's going to be a challenge. The fact that the competition committee supports further analysis is good. I wish they would go farther and say we actually support this proposal, even though it's a proposal that came from a couple of teams and not from us. But I hope they get there. The meeting's next week, and they have to do something, because right now it reverts to the same scenario that gave us the Rams-Saints debacle, Big Cat.
They have to do something, and this is the answer, because I'll give you a little look inside of the regular fan's brain here. Speaking of, as one myself, Sky Judge sounds futuristic. Sky Judge sounds like it's from the Terminator movies. When you say Sky Judge, you say, oh, it's got all the answers. It's a lot harder to criticize Sky Judge, and also Sky Judge doesn't have a face. So when a ref screws up, you know what ref screwed up. You know what crew screwed up. You know, you can see Fail Mary, even though that wasn't the regular referees in your, it's ingrained in your brain. Sky Judge is, I'm going to use a word here. Ready for this? Omnipotent. Sky Judge is everywhere. Sky Judge sees all. It's hard to criticize Sky Judge, so I will bow down to Sky Judge, and whatever Sky Judge decides, I will take as fact.
Omnipotent is not nearly as impressive as perseverate, which is one of the words that you played out of your SAT preparation book several months ago. Let me say this. I think that the reason you just articulated is why the NFL will avoid that sense of omnipotence. That's one of the things they've been concerned about. They don't like the sense, and fans may resist the idea of this unseen force that is reaching down from above, like God through the hole in the roof of the old Texas Stadium and moving the pieces around on the field. No, they won't use Sky Judge, and I guarantee you they will tell broadcasters, don't call it Sky Judge, call it booth umpire or senior technology advisor. There's a reason why Sky Judge hasn't shown up, and I think they'll have a little camera in there. So if it's Ed Hockley or some other retired referee, and this is the expertise they need to tap into, somebody who's no longer physically able to do it on the field but has the brain and the experience, you'll see the camera, just like we saw with the AAF and the XFL, the camera on that booth umpire or senior technology advisor, but please don't call it Sky Judge. That's how I think they're going to set it up.
Wrong. Booth umpire, terrible. Senior technology advisor, that sounds like a job that a 65-year-old would have in like a corporation where they didn't want to fire him, but technology has gone way past their brain. They fixed the copier machine and the fax machine back in the late 90s. Then technology showed up, and they're like, but we really like Jim and we want to keep him on. So we'll make him senior technology advisor, even though he doesn't know how to work his email. Sky Judge, 10,000. Even add that. Sky Judge 10,000.
Well, whatever they call it, there's a chance it's coming. We'll know more next week. I hope they come up with something, because my concern is they'll go back to the rules pre-replay review for pass interference, and they'll just kick the can 1 year at a time and just hope there's never a debacle like the one that prompted change in the first place. And they could go 50 years before they ever have another debacle like that. So because of the pandemic, because they can't get together, there is going to be a temptation to say, we got bigger fish to fry. You know what? If we have a horrible call in the NFC Championship game this year, that's a good problem. That means we've gotten our games in. That means we're on the brink of the Super Bowl. We should welcome a bad call in the NFC Championship game. But Big Cat, the one thing that I said to you that got your attention and got you behind the idea that change was necessary, legalized gambling. And when the dust settles on the pandemic, states that were previously resistant to legalized gambling are going to embrace it, because that's going to be a way to put budgets back together. And we are going to see a proliferation of legalized gambling and legalized marijuana. I'm not sure the two go together, but the more that people are wagering hard-earned money on football games, the more important it is to get the calls right, because it's one thing to say my favorite team lost because of a bad call. It's another thing to say I lost $1,000 because of a bad call.
Okay, I'm going to push back on that yet again, because you don't gamble, I gamble. What you don't understand is the bad beats, the horrific calls, they put hair on your chest. They're war stories, okay? They're like the rings inside of a huge tree, a sequoia tree, that tells you how old you are. So while I don't want to have bad beats, I don't want to lose, in these fashions. I actually think, in a weird way, it's the stories about those losses that are the ones you remember forever. So I'm not going to agree with that one wholly. Would I want them to figure it out perfectly? Of course. Sky Judge 10,000 will do that. But there will be a small part of me that will miss out on the horrendous beats, the horrendous decisions. And when those happen, they are stories that you will have in your brain forever. Duke, Utah, when they brought Utah back out on the court, I remember it. It was terrible. Those are the things that just stay in your brain. So I'm going to push back slightly on that point.
But here's the thing, and here's where I'm going to push back on you. You're like Captain Quint from Jaws. You're the seasoned old sea hag who's been out all over the place, and you've lived this life, and that's how you like it. The people who are going to be betting are a bunch of folks who decide they're going to go get a jet ski and tool around on the lake for the weekend. They aren't thinking of it your way. They're thinking of it as, I got screwed, they got a bad call, somebody needs to do something. And if enough of those bad calls happen, or if there's one really big bad call, and we see stories of the tens of millions of dollars that changed hands because of incompetence or worse, that's when you have to worry about the government showing up with certain instruments that get inserted in certain orifices that the NFL does not want to have happen.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.